Okay, so before we go out to start doing generative design with this, let's go ahead and get rid of some of this visual clutter. So we know that this is determining the right views now, so I'm just going to hide off this geometry. And we don't really need to see the little dots, the points, we really need to see the buildings. So we need to go back here and get rid of this visualization of the centroid and really turn on the level by color again so we see the building geometry. These are all going to end up in the output, so that's important. And we need a way to count, see this as an output. So I need to count how many views are actually working. So I'm going to do list count, and I'll show you how that works. It's just taking the views. We'll just hit run on this, and it'll just give us a count of how many good views there are. And we're really looking to maximize the number of good views. So now in order to set up for generative design, which is a function that's already built in here, we need to do a few things. We need to set up the inputs and outputs. And I've tried to do a little bit of that as we went along, but I want to just kind of punch it up now. So if I go over list count and I right click on it, I can set it up as an output. That means an output to generative design. And that's a critical piece of data. We also would like to know the number of floors that we have so we can kind of track that. So let's go back over to where we actually figure the number of levels. And that was this idea of the math floor. The number of floors is 15. So I'm going to right click on that and make sure that that is labeled as an output. And then we have the things that we want to be able to adjust and make variable. For instance, the U and the V values, I want to label those as inputs. So I right click on it and make sure that is an input is selected. And that gives us, I think, one more choice, and that's actually the width of the floors, which we can vary, and that'll change our building height. So that's an input also. So make sure that's selected as an input. I'm just going to redo it to show you how it's done. All right, and now we may be pretty well set up to take a look at our project in a generative design mode. So I'll show you how we do that. We go up, first I'll save the file. We'll go to generative design and we'll export for generative design. And if we made no mistakes, it'll say the validation is complete. And I will do video run, I'll call that just so we have a description of it. And we'll go ahead and export that. And actually nothing's going to happen. It's actually just saved it to a file, said the export is complete. And the way we actually do the generative design run is to select this and create a study. And when we do, we get a visualization. It's off on another monitor, so I have to drag it on. And I've done quite a few of these. So this one sits, I spelled video wrong, video run, new video in progress. That's the one that we want to study. And when I've selected that, I can optimize it. But what I actually want to do is I want to run this as a randomized study. It'll do 40 solutions, and it'll do it randomly. And we want to have some variables. And obviously, we've selected these as inputs. The U value is an input, the V value is an input, and the number slider is an input. And we're ready to actually run a generative design study. So it'll vary the U value, the V value, the number slider for the width of the building, and it'll give us something as an output that we can then look for the optimum value. So I'll go ahead and generate that. It takes a few seconds to run it. It'll take longer with more complex problems. And now we have a whole bunch of scenarios. You look, these are all short buildings, so they probably have really poor views. And it's really optimized for the least number of floors right now. So I want to sort by the list count, which I should have renamed. I should have called it something different. which is best views. We could redo that. And you'll notice now that list count has from, no good views all the way up to somewhat over 250 views. And I want to select the highest value, so I want to select it descending so that our first value will be our best value. And you can see as I move along here, the grays, the poor choices in the simulation are towards the end of the visualization here. So you can't see the building here because of its location, but I can actually just rotate this and you can see it over here. So this is the highest building we can make, way over tight in this part of the site, gives us the maximum number of views. And we could step through to see that there's the other kinds of simulations that were run, evaluations of other locations. We could actually try to do some variations on this run. And one of them, I think, I'll end the clip now so you can go ahead and experiment a little bit. But what I'll try to do is I'll just limit it to 14 floors. We'll make the building tall right away, and then we'll just look at the best location on the site. And we'll pick that up in the next video.